Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Legend Fiction Show. I'm your host, Dominic from Legend Fiction, and stoked to be with you on this fantastic Thursday morning. If you're catching this live stream, these are only up for like 7 days and then they go away because we clip out all the good stuff and share it with you afterwards. But if you want a chance to ask your questions and drop anything, like basically in the comment that I will react to, you're absolutely welcome to do that. If this is your first time here with Legend Fiction, we are a community of fantasy and sci-fi fiction authors who just love to create and frankly just need any excuse in the world to get together and just write our novels. And a lot of us have felt sort of alone, sort of scattered. Nobody understands what we're trying to do. And so we created a community to pull us all together. And I was struck actually just over the weekend, kind of up to yesterday, realizing if for years I've had this idea that a writer, like a storyteller, is more of a dragon writer than anything else. And why do I say that? It's because your story is a bit like finding a dragon egg somewhere. And it's kind of your job to cultivate it and nurture it until it maybe becomes something massive and it flies away, or at some point you get on it and you write it. And I like the metaphor, the idea that this chair that you sit in, this is your dragon saddle. And it can be the most terrifying thing to do, and I've been a complete failure at this, like all the rest of us. And we've got heroes among us who show up every single day. You climb into the saddle, you sit it every day, you ride the dragon, and you learn what it takes to become a dragon rider. For that reason, we now have a brand new, it's sort of an update. I've been wanting to do this for ages, and I finally just sat down yesterday and just did it. And I charted out the sections of, you know what? I'm just gonna screen share and show you. Give me a second. I charted out the sections of the author journey. Okay, let me share my screen here, and I'll show you what I was working on. It's pretty cool stuff. Um, the author journey on Legend Fiction on the website, and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pull it up and then show you. So if you go to Legend Fiction, okay, the journey that an author takes. Share this tab looks kind of like this. It is a bit like finding and writing your own dragon, and it is possible that you are further along than you think. So, how far are you on your legendary journey? And kind of my whole goal as the founder and as the mentor is how can I help you get all the way to the end of this journey? I'll show you real quick. You have the Firefinders. You are somebody who has started saving your ideas and then writing them down. And then you level up to become an Ember Warden. This is at this point, you're working on a project and you're starting to build the habit. You're going full Aragon here. Skybound, this is Dragon Riders of Pern or something. You have written the end on your first novel project. For those who have grown up with Dinotopia, like I did, what do they say? Fly high, seek peace, or something like that. Then after that, you become a dragon writer. At this point, you have published a book and it is available to readers. A lot of us work really hard. We get to a point, we put it up on KDP or something on Amazon, we publish it, and we're holding a copy in our hands. If you are that far, you are so much further than like pretty much everybody in the world. And then lastly, we invite you, become a legend. And at this point, you're building your brand, readers are following your work, and you are helping other writers. Uh, if you're not helping other writers, I think you're missing out on an aspect of what it takes to be a legend. All right, this is the legend fiction journey that we invite authors onto because we are dragon riders. And so we then went and I created the Dragon Riders Creed. Okay. And again, I'm trying to capture the sense of the soul that we share. Okay. So here's what I think. Okay. And we're going to get into all of this because I have about half an hour or so before our guest joins me, and then we're going to talk about AI and some new thoughts that he's had on it. I've shipped a bunch of posts on the blog about AI this past week, gathering my thoughts. But first, we're going to spend time. I'm going to read through a course that I created called Storyteller. And everything that we're seeing here today comes out of what I think and from this course. And if you think so too, then you might love what we're doing in Legend Fiction. So here it is. They told you to put it away, right? Your story, right? It was too dark, it was too strange, maybe, or it was too much. It was not the kind of story that people like us are supposed to write. And instead, you put a saddle on it and you climbed on. A rider is not a tame lion. A rider nor a writer, not tame lions. We don't file the teeth off our stories to make them safe for everyone. The fun and the dragon fire is the point, and it always was the point. I think a writer does not fly borrowed dragons. Yours was hatched in, your own drafts folder. It comes from your own life, and it will not answer to anyone else. It's a bond that is born from subcreation. Hat tip to Tolkien there. And it calls you further up and further in. We're going full inklings on this thing. A rider flies alone and rides in company. You got to stay on your own dragon back. Nobody else can keep you riding your own dragon, but we can keep a flight with other people. It is much easier to stay in the air. We keep each other in sight and we build a better future together. A rider does not wait to be worthy. Nobody hands you the reins. We climb on with cold hands and shaky legs and no proof, and we take off anyway. Have you ever seen a dragon take off? It is not a happy horse. This thing just dives off the side of a skyscraper and doesn't care if you're hanging on or screaming your lungs out. We learn it by doing. So your dragon is still in there, and it's still breathing, and it's still yours. Your saddle awaits. And then if you want a little dash of something extra cool, you scroll down a little bit. Well, first of all, this presentation I gave, Vocation of the Storyteller, is pretty epic. But you come down here, I've embedded a, what is it called? It is a musical soundtrack that I've created. So there we go. Ink Runs Gold. So you can play that or you can download that and you can listen to that. I think it sounds pretty amazing. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to spend. Oh, you know what? Last thing I forgot to share with you. So you're like, okay, hooray, dude, you've given us badges. Now what? How do I get from one to the next? What do I do? Right? And if any of this is interesting you or you're liking it, please put the number 1 in the chat. Say hi. Tell me what you think. And if you have an idea of where you currently are, go ahead and say hi in the chat. Tell me, are you skybound? Are you an Ember Warden? We ran a poll yesterday in the community, and it was actually really fun. I wonder if I can pull it up and show you briefly. And we had so many people going off and voting on where they are. Here, I can show you this. It gives us a really fun sense of where people are in their journeys. Okay, and we got a ton of Ember Wardens, which is exactly what you'd expect. We actually have more legends than I would expect. So it's cool because it gives you a path to follow and what to do next. Now, in terms of knowing what to do next, that's why I've created under freebies. I've launched this really fun legend journey tool. Okay, so when you go to this page, it's going to load up this map and it's going to show you like a skill tree, all of the different things that you can do and the adventures that you can get on. And one of the things that's now been added is your badge is going to show up. Now, I don't know that I can show it here, for example. Let's say I remove this one here, frequent habit of writing. Okay, I've claimed this badge. Once that's done, um, I don't remember the badge. As you progress through the badge, it's then going to show you where you are in terms of your journey, right? So if you've started building a frequent habit, you are then someone, let's say, yes, I did a writing challenge. It's then going to give you a new badge. It'll go, hey, you're an Ember Warden, or you are now Skybound. Congratulations, you've published your book. And then that's going to show up on the side. I've got to save and export the latest version of this so that you can see it. The goal being, a lot of us may be further along than we think we are. And having a map like this can give you this fun and instant sense of what to do next. Now, obviously, it's not exhaustive because there is an infinity of things that you can do. But if you have no idea what to do next, this gives you a really fun recipe to follow. And if you decide, you know what, I'm just here to be a hobby storyteller, I don't want everything else, then you can just follow this journey and get all of these paths. Okay, kick back, grab something warm. That's what I'm kind of doing, although mine is cooling. It's my second cup of coffee this morning. I want to share with you something else that was also very fun that we launched this past week. We called it Fellowships. Now, I'm pretty sure I announced it on the blog, but what we've got is we've created something called the Legend Fiction Tournament. Okay. And as you can see, every month we have teams of authors who are out writing each other. They're competing together. And I can show you, we've got all of the rules here so that you can understand how it works. And then we've got the different teams. Now, for the longest time, word bearers were just clocking it in month after month. It is an absolute powerhouse of a team. And then I did not expect, I was thinking I had to go and nerf the terms of engagement on this because the word bearers were just winning and wasn't giving anybody else a chance. And then, as it turns out, the writers of Rohan actually pulled into the lead and took the July finalists badge. And that means they then get a badge that shows up on their profile that they get to keep until it goes away. And then if they can hold it for 3 months, they then get the Ever badge, which then never goes away. But if they get beaten, let's say in August, the month badge comes off their profiles and gets assigned to the winning team. So that ended up being so much fun that I thought, what if we have something called fellowships? And this is where you just get together and you create small chats and you stay connected. And the goal is to have like in a chat form accountability with a couple of friends, and you stay in touch with each other. And it's not trying to hit a word count, but it is trying to help cultivate um, particular attitude, particular ability to like to focus. Like some, for example, these night dreamers, they're only around at nighttime, right? And then the psyche scribblers are more psychological than not. And so the way that it's set up is this is part of the rules that I mandated. You have it's a chat that caps at 6 people. You have 3 existing members, and then you have to keep it open for 3 brand new members. This way, you keep. It's a way that we stop existing members from sort of gathering in cliques and then hiding away, and never engaging with all of the new people who join our community. So um, and then we've also got a little rule: if somebody doesn't show up without a reason for more than like 2 weeks, then they're dropped and their seat is opened up so somebody else can then join. That way it stops people from just like joining a bunch and then never actually engaging in them. So it stays fresh, and it actually it allows us to tell people or encourage them, find your fellowship. All right. So that's if that's one reason to join, that would be one of them. And they're fun. All right. Here's what I'm going to do today. I've created this mini course called Storyteller. Now, if you didn't know, and I've done a very bad job of actually sharing this as an actual resource. This is the thing that inspired legend fiction, like at all. Like why it exists at all is because of this course. And these are my own diary entries that I have sort of taken crowbars to and massaged for almost a decade, trying to make sense of it for myself and what I think. Largely because I wanted the freedom to tell any kind of story that I wanted. And I couldn't understand what was going on, what was the stinking thinking inside my head that was sort of stopping me from doing that, right? So that's what these notes are. It's created so that anybody joining the community can read through it, get the sense of it. If you do and you finish, you then get a badge on your profile. So what I'm going to do, because it's something I've never done, is just simply read through it. So you're welcome to just, kick back, drink your coffee, stare out the window, watch the squirrel on the neighbor's tree. And I'm going to get a read aloud of this so that I have a video. It is now, I have 30 minutes until my first guest shows up. So we might get through like a couple of these. And if you have any questions at any point, drop them in the chat. I'll be happy to reply. All right. Hi, friends, and welcome to Storyteller. It's that was a clunky beginning. We try again. This is what I do when I'm not actually live. Pretend to be professional. Hi, friends, and welcome to Storyteller. It's how faith inspired authors can find the freedom to write the coolest fiction in the world. I'm Dominic, founder of Legend Fiction, and this is the course that inspired this whole community. So I hope that it is helpful for you. We've got about 9 short lessons. I'm going to read through them. You can either watch this video or you can punch through the little lessons here on the side and enjoy. And plus, at the end, we've got some bonus resources that enrich your journey and hopefully give you something fun to think about. All right. Are you excited to write a novel full of fun and depth and meaning? Do you dream of writing novels, but no one in your life seems to understand where you're coming from? Are people telling you you're wasting time not converting people with, I don't know, soul numbing altar calls? Are people telling you, they're turned off from your stories because they think, well, your beliefs shouldn't influence your fiction? Do you feel like you're stuck standing in a 6-lane freeway of opinions, and you're fired up with passion for writing fiction that, well, you didn't exactly ask for that passion, and you really can't ignore it either. It's just there, and you kinda like it. Well, hi, I'm Dominic, and you're not alone. Chances are, people shaking fingers at you probably haven't read as many books as you have, or they have no idea what you're trying to do. More importantly, they're not storytellers. Would you ask a mechanic to explain to you why mythology matters? Um, no, you'd go to a mythologist. Right? It's the same thing for storytellers. Stop asking for permission from people because you want to write science fiction or fantasy. I don't think you need to ask for permission. And I can say that because my heroes have been the world rending Silmarillions, right? Of Tolkien, the dreamlike delving and scrying of George MacDonald, the urgent, haunted wolf myths of Martin Shaw, and the gritty grace and buckshot of Flannery O'Connor, and more. It's for that reason I've got them in the background of these images because they're so inspiring to me. Now, they didn't ask. They knew that their fiction mattered, and so they found their freedom, and you can too. Now, I created this entire course. It's available as an ebook. You can download it for free if you're in this community, or you can buy a copy. I've got it available on my personal website. You can have Amazon print you off your own personal copy and send it to your door. It's got this whole little course in it, plus a bunch of other fascinating, that I think, absolutely fascinating articles. All right. Who am I? If you've never heard of me, I'm a cradle Catholic who's been writing sci fi and fantasy novels since I was 13. I graduated from the Writers Institute for Children's Literature, and then I found out I was living in a Catholic doomsday cult. So dramatic. And that led to a decade of deconstruction and then a careful rebuilding of what it means to be religious at all. I was a complete book nerd as a kid and still as a grown up. I loved playing games, as many video games as I could. And, gosh, I liked building insanely dangerous tree houses and then accidentally traveled all over the world. Today, I'm a dad, I work full time in marketing, and I'm building legend fiction to bring together the coolest storytellers in the world. Could be you. Many of these storytellers, they show up saying exactly the same thing. I have a deep message that I want to share, but I don't want to be preachy. Or I'm inspired by my faith, but I really want my readers to love my writing. And they'll say things like, my Catholic faith or my Christian faith brings me life and joy, and I want to share that, but without losing friends. Well, does that sound like you? Most fiction authors already have a hard enough time just trying to write cool stuff that can sell. I think that faith inspired fiction authors carry an extra challenge. Some of the stuff that you write has to mean something. You want your characters to get real about reality, and maybe that actually scares you. My approach is to double down on being a great human because that's got to come first before anything else. In fact, I think the better author that you are, it's possible the better human being you can be. I think there are a lot of authors who probably suck at being human beings, so it's not a universal truth. But I think that if you're a better human being, you'll probably write even better and more true stories. So after this course, you won't feel like you're shoehorning your faith in afterward because you had too much fun. Or you won't feel like you have to explain your lack of evangelization or evangelism to your parish or your Sunday school group. And then your imagined guilt will evaporate because it was fake anyway. You'll just relax and you'll find a freedom to write because you love it, not because you have to score points and earn praise from someone who doesn't see what you see. So you can be free to explore any topic and genre with honesty and imagination. And as you can see throughout this course, I've got screenshots of movies that I've seen that I loved and I thought were fascinating. For example, Silence. It is an epic example of a story that challenges what tradition and what faith means. It is not an easy story. It is a very good one, though. Fiction is messy because humans are messy. Fiction blends psyche, like who you are, your soul, right? Your psyche with your story, myth with mysticism, and faith with word smithing. And if you know anything about the authors that I've quoted, we do live in a perilous realm of bright and of shade. I believe in an enchanted creation that is bristling with beings who are conscious and active in God's evolving plan to redeem all things. So humans, which is kind of the point of all fiction, like we read stories because of the ultimately because of the people that are in it experiencing things, even if they look like they're blue aliens on Pandora, they're anything but simple, right? Humans are not simple. They are anything but simple, linear journey, especially if you're progressing out of childlike stories into more mature stories. Our journeys are anything but simple and flat and linear. We're immersed in an ocean of mythic gods and actual archetypes and psychic impulses and intangible energies and quantum biology, all of it. And there's magic probably in there. Most importantly, you'll find I'm not afraid of anything. And I think neither should your fiction be either. It's going to allow you to watch any movie that you want, be able to talk about any game. It might also turn you off from watching a bunch of movies or playing a bunch of games because you might immediately be able to tell, eh, there's nothing really good in there. There are some things that are like that. What I don't advocate for are witch hunts where we burn books. I think it's still good to know what's in stuff, at the very least, even with a 10-foot pole. So, in this course and then throughout, you know, legend fiction and all the work that I do, we circle a core idea: God, or, ultimate reality, another way to say it, is not in competition with his creation. In fact, he reveals himself through it across multiple lives, across millennia of time. And as an author, you're a sub creator. So you're going to be doing the same thing when you create. Writing is a vocation, right? Which means, what is a vocation? It's a commitment to something deeply good that's meant to change you and level you up. And it's fun, definitely. Hard to practice, but real. And so this mini course, it covers three themes: discover the role of an author, understand how to respect your audience, and then see your call in a new and greater light. As you finish each lesson, you can drop a comment with your key takeaway or question, or you can grab pen and paper, of course, or journal offline. Of course, Harry Potter is a fantastic example of this. All right, so that's the first lesson. Let's head on to be a storyteller first. Okay, you're a storyteller first. No apologies. You're here to write stories. You're not here to sell faith, right? You're not an apologist. You're not a evangelist or a preacher. You're a storyteller. Okay, let's get right to it. We're storytellers. We tell stories. That's our calling. It's what fascinates us, right? In our early dawn writing sessions, when our hands are crabbed around something that is warm. It's why we steal time at the end of the day away from yelling family to add a couple of paragraphs to a blank page or something. We dream of sharing a tale that captivates, and it can spellbind a sick child in hospital to forget their fears for an hour, or maybe longer than that. Why? It's because we ourselves are captivated and spellbound by the ideas in our mind. Our calling is to learn how to do something amazing, how to learn to tell a story. We're wrestling with something in the dark. We're wrestling against raw animal power and flapping wings, gasping for a blessing, demanding that our vision condense into like a flutter of letters on a page, on a paper. We hope that the sacrifice that we make won't hurt too much. But even then, well, we don't much care anymore. Sound like something you know? It's exactly like Jacob battling for a blessing. We're seeking to pull someone into a whole new world, like a hand reaching through a wardrobe and hauling us through heavy fur cloaks into a landscape of snow, witches, and talking lions. I'm an absolute Narnia kid. That was my childhood. Most authors are changed by the process. Afterward, we walk through the world, maybe gimp legged, worlds without end inside us. Half of us are in this world and half of us are in that one, or in all of the other ones that we've got. Perhaps we're now half blind from like one eye kind of turned inward and one eye kind of turned outward. We've been blessed by the elves with a storyteller's second sight, and it makes us a strange thing. And we would never be unspeared of this sight. Yep, I am mashing up Narnia, Odin, and Jacob. Writing is a deeply mythic thing. The writing pros call it the fictive dream or the suspension of disbelief. I'm with Martin Shaw. He talks about stories being living things. Not all of them are equal and not all of them do the same thing. So if your job is to tell a story that captivates, then how do we get it wrong? Well, when our craft is so poor that someone wakes up and doesn't want to keep on reading. So, whether you're Catholic or Christian, Orthodox, and then faith inspired authors, this is one place where we get stuck. Where is the line between like fiction and evangelization? My answer is that there isn't a line because they're not the same thing. The way most people understand evangelization, it's a soapbox for megaphoning a checklist that doesn't respect your conscience. Better word for that is proselytism or preachiness. Um, And we can argue we should have a better definition of evangelization, but this is what most people think of it as. Well, fiction is a golden ticket to the Polar Express. It is an invite into an experience. Flannery O'Connor says no matter how much his character may be improved by the church, if he is a novelist, he has to remain true to his nature as one. The church should make the novelist a better novelist. Now, if you're like me, writing fantasy and fiction feels like breathing. As a kid, that filled my free time and it intruded in my thoughts during school. I filled notebooks with my own bestiaries, plotted adventures, outlined endless series I would never write, or at least not yet, of talking mice, or stormtroopers facing dinosaurs, or secret agents on death defying missions. So many of those. The point was to learn how to create. The point was to sidle up to the vocation that called to me from the perilous realm. But then, for me, my cult upbringing would sort of rear with like a rash of regret. All this time, I'd created it all without a single nod to God or to Catholic doctrine or to the faith. I hadn't made a plan to evangelize anyone into saving their souls, right? All the fun that I'd been imagining with tyrannosaurs and lightsabers, it wasn't going to do anyone any good, they would tell me. Well, I now know that I was wrong. Like, I was so wrong. Novelists aren't evangelists. Now, some authors do write evangelistic fiction, but unless that's you, well, it's not you. Some evangelize through hospitality and medical care. Some evangelize through dance and social events. Some evangelize through food and caretaking. Well, with any one of those, if you're not good at cooking food, your evangelization witness is not going to be credible. It's going to suck. If you're a bad dancer or a very clunky social event, no one's going to take any other message you have to say seriously. And if your medical care is dangerously inadequate or you run, a bad hospital, nobody's going to care about what your motivation is for doing these things because the experience that people are looking for, or needing, or expecting wasn't good. Well, we are storytellers, and our job, vocation, calling is to understand why humans tell stories at all. And it's for a much deeper reason than cavemen's cautionary tales, okay? Or escapist wish fulfillment. Say that 3 times fast. Because someone can't, quote, handle real life, or to convert people to a faith tradition. Again, wonderful Flannery. She says, the tensions of being a Catholic novelist are probably never balanced for the writer until the church becomes so much a part of his personality that he can forget about her. In the same sense that when he writes, he forgets about himself. You can think of it maybe like gravity. Nobody sits and thinks on purpose about gravity. It just affects all of the decisions and how the book is created, right? So, same thing. A lot of authors feel that conflict. We're torn between the worlds we want to explore and the sermons that we hear on Sundays. We feel that something is good and true about these imaginal continents filled with Silmarillions and elves and orcs. But there's um, most Sunday pastors are up to their eyeballs in administration and confessions, and your questions about, let's say, dragons as an expression of Christ, it's more than they can handle. So don't ask them. They never wanted to be storytellers anyway. So, light or the revelation of light. Imagine an attic or a cave. Okay. It's filled with dimly lit things. You can barely see anything in the musty gloom. Um, Imagine a leaf twists away from an empty gap in the rafters, right? And then a yellow spear of sunlight picks out the silent waltz of dust boats and it tracks a path across the floor. So you might be, or imagine an author was blinking from like being decades in the dark. Okay, you're pale eyed and you're maybe cautious. Some authors will stare at that shaft of light and wonder how they've been deprived of the light for so long. And then they enter into it and they stare up into it. Their eyes are sort of gasping for it until black spots, start to appear in their sight. It's obvious and it is brilliant truth. And we will want to write about why this light is the illuminator of the world. But somebody who's a light dweller is used to light, knows that human eyes can't meet the gaze of the sun. So we admire that prismed radiance, right? We stare at everything that exists. Light picks out the silk in the early morning corn, turns the gray world green through the bending leaves. It presses apart the clouds, and it casts shadow between the mountains. It trues the night under the river pebbles. It floods on enthralled concert halls with the presence of 1,000 other people sitting in the dark. Shadow is a part of light. All things are seen by light. It's pretty normal to learn something new and to fall in love with it. And then to try to turn it into a story to convince a reader, or maybe even try to understand it ourselves. The more mature thing is to marinate in it and to understand why it moves you and then maybe what it means, and then tell a story about why a character was convinced, and then maybe the reader will believe that. Some writers can only write about the light itself. And these are those with often a preachy message, inside and outside, of a faith tradition. We need more who write about what the light reveals. These are those who are in touch with the world, who get that each person is on their own journey, their own spiritual ascent into God. I think belief is like light. We're human, we're persons. We don't seek the Father of lights the way we seek the sunshine in a dark attic. We see the All Father in all gifts, in all the shades of light and dark. Let's qualify when I say dark, I'm not saying evil. Different thing. There's nothing evil about darkness, right? And when we're talking about storytelling, we need to be aware of that too. Evil is evil, and it can present as light. It's a whole nother ballgame. We see the All Father in all gifts, in all the shades of light and dark, night and day, all of that. And our very ability to see and understand anything is a gift of His power. John Carswell has got a quote from him. We need to be tellers of dark stories, for we live in a dark and sorrowful world. Now, I'm certainly not arguing against the place of light and happiness. After all, we proclaim a great story where redemption is the ultimate reality. Yet, if we neglect the place of darkness, sin, and evil in our stories, the weight of human moral action, the tragedy of the fall, if any of these things are missing from our stories, then we're failing in our art. We're a bit like fishes suddenly realizing we're surrounded like water. All right, we're being told to slow down and realize we're in an ocean. We're already in God because in Him we live and move and have our being. You don't need a cast of nuns and priests in clerical clothes in your novel, and you don't need your character to have a come to Jesus moment, not the way that you think. A character making a 1% turn toward the good, towards the better, towards living better, making a change for the better. That is their come to Jesus moment for that character. Again, the journey of an act of a human or a person doesn't end on the last page. It's going to continue until the end of their life, and then probably even beyond that. Right? So it is their come to Jesus moment because Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. So 1% turn towards that is that. And it's not because they become card carrying Christians. That was never the point of your story. Now, unless that literally is the story, but you can't read that into Star Wars, right? Or every other story that's out there. It was never the point of your story. It's because the urgency and the energy of your story was to confront a character with something that would change them, like really change them in an undeniable way. And even if it's a story of an anti-hero, it's they're also still being faced with some sort of reality or series of experiences that would normally change them if they weren't so pig-headed or incredibly stubborn. William Giraldi has this great quote: "The religious elements aren't obnoxiously grafted onto the narrative, but they emerge intrinsically from the circumstances of the characters." So here we go. Be a good storyteller. Imagine that Da Vinci, right, had a vision early in life and he hastily grabbed his paintbrushes to smear out his interpretation of the incarnation, right? He hasn't yet spent a decade of 10,000 hours, however long he did. He hasn't yet mastered his skills. He hasn't become the great Da Vinci that we know and love. So his theme may be sublime, but his talent stops the rest of us from seeing his message. The hasty sweeps of the colors, the imbalance of tone and shade, and the clunky proportion, it makes us critique the painting, and so we miss the point. So your first job is to be a good author. And this means if you want to be good at something, you got to train at it. You have to learn the discipline. You have to know when the rules apply and when you can skirt them. You have to practice writing stories and then trying to finish stories and then sketching characters and then stumbling through life like the rest of us, one day at a time. Um, and you can't stop. I think some authors spend 100 hours trying to make the perfect story. That was me. Some authors spend 100 hours trying to write 100 short stories. Who do you think will learn better and faster? The one who gets the experience, who gets the reps in. Flannery says the artist has his hands full and he does his duty if he attends to his art. He can safely leave evangelizing to the evangelists. Without enough time and attention spent simply writing, you won't have a sense of your own style and your own interests and your message. You will have a vague idea, but you will need clarity. You will need stunning, simple, visceral, bone-gripping clarity. So it doesn't matter how amazing your message is. We're artists. We're creators. We don't demand mercy watching or mercy reading. We want our art to be good on its own. And if it isn't, then we get better. We want our reader to just get sucked into the first few pages, the first few paragraphs, to be so swallowed into the story and the ideas and the promises of this adventure that they cancel their weekend plans to keep reading. Our first responsibility: be a good author. That's the end of that first chapter. Next one is going to be why storytellers must dig deep. I am now at 7 minutes until my next guest arrives, so I don't think I'm going to get into reading that. More good stuff, though. It's been ages since I've actually reread this. I think I wrote this up. Last time I read it was maybe a year ago. If you enjoyed any of that, let me know what you think. If you want to argue with any of it, please go ahead and tell me what you think in the comments. Um, all right. So I'm coming back over here to my recording tool. My guest should be back on in about 7 minutes. So before doing that, I'm going to go back over to my blog and we'll give you a brief update on some of the things we're thinking of because AI has become, obviously, it's continuing to be a massive and a big deal. So I will be right back after a brief break. Let me be real for a second. I have a very hard time keeping up with writing habits. I have lots of dreams and ideas, but then nothing happens. And if you're like me, a ton of dreams, right, and ideas, and then not turning it into novels, not publishing, not getting it done. Okay, so I built Legend Fiction to fix all of that. And I'll tell you what, it's working. Every other community that I've found, it's like one thing, right? It's a critique group, or it's got coaching, or it does the world building, and somebody's got a conference. And so we said, hey, we'll do all of that and more. So we added 30-day challenges to build a habit of writing. We created tournaments where you try to outwrite each other. We created short story collections with royalty shares for everyone who gets published. We host read alouds with a mentor. We're even building a shared fantasy world together. And then our convention, not a conference, it's a convention, because a convention is more fun. That's Legend Fiction. It's like a living, creative haven where faith-inspired storytellers build worlds, finish their stories, and publish together. It's $10 a month. You can start a 30-day free trial. Come to legendfiction.com, and I'll see you on the inside. And welcome back. Let me pull up my the blog. We've had some really fun updates this past week. So first, if you haven't yet, our community has written a flash fiction collection of stories. And the way that it works is that we give people a deadline of like 3 days. We give them a random word that they could never have predicted, and then they have to write up to. In this challenge, we gave them up to 2,000 words. Normally, it's between 500 to 1,500 words to write a flash fiction short story, get it drafted, try to get some feedback, and then submit it. And then we pick all of the best stories and we put them together in a lovely little free ebook that you can just download or you can read directly on our website. And it is a completely free gift that our community creates so that you can have fun stories to enjoy. But just as importantly, you get to meet some of the members. You can find their websites, you can go follow them, and keep reading their stories, right? So it's a completely free book. So you should go check that out. We have a link in the description right here, legendfiction.com/gift. And you can download your copy. You can also get access to all of the back issues. We've created now 3 of these because we have seasons that last 3 months. And then in the middle of each season, we run a flash fiction challenge, and it's basically all for you. Um, if you head over to the blog, you can see a bunch of really fun uh, 2 posts that I've written. One went out yesterday, 40 world building ideas to reinvent dragons, right? And dragon riders in fantasy fiction. This is so incredibly fun. Dragons are fantastically awesome. And of course, dragon riders are a big deal for our sense of identity, sense of self, right? So you can have a look at this. This will just sort of blow your head off because of how fun it is. Let's do more than just create fiery, scaly sky cavalry. Let's imagine how weather, distance, and biology could turn dragons into a civilization of the sky. It's pretty awesome. And then I also went and did the same thing with elves because I'm reading a novel about elves by the fantastic Trey McMakin. I just finished reading his book on the Mine Lord, and I'm now reading his book, The Voiceless Sister. And it just got me thinking about how to do elves just different or better than what we're seeing. So let's turn the forest from scenery into civilization. Let's create elves who grow cities, breed impossible trees, command weather, wage botanical war, and engineer the living world across thousands of years. I mean, if you just need a little recipe to make your elves more interesting and unusual in your next novel, just scroll up and down here, grab something random, drop it in, and all of a sudden, yeah, you will be thinking more deeply about the story that you're creating. Lastly, and so we're going to get into this. We're talking about AI. I might come back maybe next week and sort of read this aloud or read this through, or maybe I need to start a whole new live stream session to get through some of this stuff. But there was an article that came out on The Guardian. Molly Crabapple talked about the greatest art heist in history. And I read through it, after 5 years following this whole conversation. We're going to get into it with our guest who is now here in the lobby, Keith Hayden. I'm going to bring him in. Um, After 5 years of sort of following this whole conversation, I've just realized that I haven't seen or found any new arguments that are actually convincing about if AI art is theft or not. It's if you dislike it or not, that's sort of immaterial. If a lot of people are genuinely creating slop, that's also kind of immaterial. To the actual argument, is it actual theft or no? I haven't found an argument that actually proves that. So that's what that post really gets into. All right, let's bring in Keith and let's see if we can get a good connection. Hello, Keith. Welcome. How are you?
Good. Good to see you again.
Hey, it has been like what, 9 months? I think since we last connected. It's been
Yeah,
crazy.
it was last year sometime. So,
Oh gosh, it's good to catch you. Hey, I don't know if it's just me. Can you say "how now, brown cow"? Because your audio seems a
how
bit low.
now? How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow?
It's mostly okay. Maybe pull the microphone just a little closer to you.
Sure. How about that?
I think that's a little better. Yeah,
Better?
I'm hitting up in the yellow, and you're staying low in the green. I can turn it
Okay,
up a little bit more on my end. So,
cool.
dude, it's been a year. Okay, my first question:
Yeah.
did you finish the novel that you were working on? I think you said one you've been putting off for like 4 or 5 years. Did that make the
Yeah,
cut?
I'm still not.
These things happen. I've got a novel I'm sitting on for 2 years. I haven't finished. I
I'm
hear you.
still not done, man. And you know what? But I've made a big strides in the last couple of months, and
Nice.
that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you because I'm in the middle of this coding boot camp, very intense, and so the
Hmm.
past 3 months have been focused on learning software development, not necessarily on writing,
Hmm.
but these things, I our conversation was so good last time, so I'm hoping that we get into kind of this overlap because I've learned a ton not only about developing software, but about how AI and the process, how it's changing software. Of course, you I mean, I just looked at the Legend Fiction website. Bravo, man.
Well, I'm going to ask you why,
It
but
looks
thank you.
so good. It looks amazing. And I was actually listening pretty much since you started your live stream this morning as you were
Oh,
going
really?
through the Storyteller course. Yeah, I
Oh,
tuned
cool.
in. I just wanted to see how you were doing, and you've been really you've done well for yourself, man, as far as
Well, I'm glad you think so.
growing the
Is
community and using AI. And I know you're out there, taking the body shots when it comes to talking about this technology. But I
You should
mean,
see my comment section on YouTube. It's
oh
hilarious.
man, I bet they love you. But I mean, you and I have both, and when we talked last year, it was clear. We were
Mm,
both kind of on the same wavelength as far as
hmm.
look, this stuff is here to stay.
Yeah.
I want to get the best out of it. I
Hmm.
understand there are negatives to it. There are definitely downsides, but at the same time, what can it do for our creativity? How can it
Yeah.
bring out the ideas that you've already had in yourself? So,
Hmm. Amazing. Well, look, you have the floor, man. Let's just get right into it. And then
yeah,
afterwards, we'll come back and I want to talk about, what you've been up to and so on. But let's just get into the meat of this thing. So,
sure.
yeah, you mentioned you were at some kind of a camp. What
Yeah.
changed for you or what have you been learning? Let's just, yeah, kick back and get into it.
Yeah, so this boot camp is called Code Platoon. You enlist in the army of code. It's such a nerdy type of thing when you say it that way. But essentially, it's a program, a software development program for military affiliated persons. So
Okay.
I'm a veteran, also a military spouse. We've got dependents of spouses. We've got just people who never served, but their parents were in, people who are just getting out of the military, people who've been out for a long time. So there's quite a mix in there. But the task is to teach you full stack software development in 3.5 months. And
Wow. I have
it's the
no idea what that means or what's
it's
involved.
so think of it like writing a novel. This
Yeah.
is something that you know very well. It's end to end. So
Mm,
from beginning to end. So not just the front end, the cover of the novel, not just the guts of the novel, not just the layout, but the entire thing, how it works,
yeah, the systems and the
outlining.
psychology, I imagine.
Exactly,
Wow.
exactly. So for applications, it's building what's called the back end, which is it's data, it's storage, it's security, all that stuff. And then the front end, which you know well through maintaining legend fiction, your community, it's what everybody sees. It's
Mm.
what everybody interacts with. It's doing those types of things, the fun stuff. And then dealing with
Did you go
databases,
into
that type of
this
thing.
with a particular kind of tool or software you wanted to build and then work towards that through your course?
So for me, I've been like you, I've been maintaining my website for almost 10 years now. So in that course of time, I've been tinkering, I've made games, I've done some like free code camp. I was just dabbling, but I
Nice.
wanted to legitimize my skills and really get them solidified and get some, external authority as far as, hey, he can do this. He knows what he's doing as a professional software developer. So it's it started there. I didn't go in with a particular stack that I wanted to learn, but I was just like,
Hmm.
I just want to get better at this skill in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you using AI to speed up or facilitate implementation, or are you actually learning coding language yourself, or both?
Both, both.
Both. Yeah.
So we are it's and we're at an inflection point, man. Like, and that's one of the reasons like I was excited to talk to you because we're seeing this change in real time.
Hmm.
We are, as far as my knowledge, we are the first cohort to have an AI instruction block. So the very day 3 or day 2, we were installing Claude Code
Mm.
in this boot camp, and that was new. The
Hmm.
previous cohort, they didn't have an AI block. So for 5 weeks, the first 5 weeks of the boot camp was using Claude Code to develop an app, and then we stopped, and then went back, and then it was all fingers on keyboard,
Yeah.
writing
Yeah.
code. So
Wow.
we've gotten both at the
Nice.
same time. Yeah,
Gosh, I got so many questions firing off. I don't know where to go. We'll keep going with wherever you want to go because I'll just keep running over stuff.
sure. So in this process, of course, I've still been writing,
Yeah.
and the big thing I wanted to talk to you and your audience about is there's this huge dichotomy right now between are you, is it AI generated text? Is it writing
Mm.
for you? We're both aware of the witch hunts. We've seen it going on. And I've kind of moved past that. I've kind of, and I think I've been in this space where I've been using AI since the beginning, since ChatGPT came out, so about 4 years now. So I've
Hmm.
heavily experimented. I've
Yeah.
tried the writing. Overall, that's not what excites me about AI. Like, I I personally don't want AI to write for me, but I understand it's a good writer. And people who say that it's not, it's kind of just either cope, or you don't know what you're doing, or you don't want it to be a good writer. You are,
But you
you are
literally haven't trained it to actually be a good ghostwriter for you.
exactly. And these days you don't really have to do much training anymore. It picks up what you're putting
Yeah.
down very quickly. And if you want it to copy your style, you can. If you want it to augment your style, you can. We both know that. What
Hmm.
I'm interested now is the ways that AI can facilitate business, that can
Hmm.
facilitate connection between other people, can facilitate the publishing process.
Hmm.
And those are things that I've been experimenting with heavily. And there's some exciting things that I'm doing when it comes to exploring,
Yeah.
besides the, the stuff that's getting all the hype, which is the generative, AI,
Okay.
that
Well,
type of
look,
thing.
please stop twisting my arm and let's just get into what is it that you're learning, especially as it's applying to you and what's making sense and what's exciting you.
Yeah, so the biggest unlock, one of the biggest pains, and you've done print books, you've published print books. So, as you know, one of the biggest pains is not actually writing the book. If you want a print book, you've got to lay it out, you've got to typeset it. I have my second novel here, and it took a month to typeset that
What
that
tool were
book.
you using for that?
Microsoft Word. Yeah,
Okay.
I hate myself. I know
Shout
there's
out,
Reedsy.
shout out to Reedsy.
I know.
I live in that.
I've used Reedsy, I've used
Yeah.
Atticus, I've used some of these other templates, and they're great. They're
Yeah.
awesome. But I had some specialized things with, I use a lot of foreign languages outside of
Got
English
it.
in
Okay.
my manuscripts. So those templates struggle with that. I had images that I wanted put a certain way. So as soon as you want to start
Yeah.
customizing it, you're kind of in a
Yeah.
position to where you need a custom tool. So Microsoft Word previously, that was the best way. And I kept saying, when
Hmm.
AI is able to lay out my book, that's when I know it's ready. And I've
Okay.
accomplished that.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've got here, this is this is an exclusive. This is a Legend Fiction exclusive, by the way. So
Nice.
you should feel privileged. This is a
I
secret
am. Yeah.
book
Okay.
that I've just come out with. It's called Hayden's Field Dictionary.
Okay. Wow.
And Hayden's Field Dictionary is a personal memoir that's
Okay.
in the frame of a dictionary. So essentially, I had all of these scattered writings. Every day, I have a word of the day that I pick, and I do a sample sentence. Just this is just independently on my website.
Hmm.
But I'd been accumulating these things
Hmm.
for a month, several weeks, and I was like, I wonder if I could turn it into a book somehow.
Okay.
So I'd always wanted to do my own dictionary.
Hmm.
This book was conceived about less than 3 weeks ago.
Amazing. Oh, that's so
Less than three
fun.
weeks ago. So I already had the writing
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I've been journaling every day and I had all the words of the day, but it was just a
Yeah.
matter of doing the container. So the layout, and this is going to blow your mind. The layout, I used a programming language called Typest, Typst.
Okay.
And that combined with AI, and of course, I've been learning software. So all of these skills kind of dovetailed. That book was laid out in a day, a single day,
That's fantastic.
because
That
AI
is
can
so cool.
manipulate the code. And what people don't
Yeah.
understand, and I think code is the DNA of our modern world. And
Hmm.
I say that with the utmost sincerity. I mean, anything
And
around
also
you,
this utmost respect too, right? Like
right,
I've been working with Claude heavily
right,
for the last 3 months now. And I found a new sentence that just changed my mind. It was video is code. And of course, I'm a designer. I get
right.
precious about design. I still need someone to prove to me that graphic design can become merely code because it's like, but video transitions, J cuts, feathering audio or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, it gets to a point where just templates can make this stuff just really work.
absolutely.
And so I'm now messing with, well, Claude can help me edit or create videos. Like this is incredible. So no, you're right.
Yes,
Code is the underlying language of the applied physics, applied math, of doing stuff online.
absolutely. Yeah, of everything, everything in your phone, everything that you see that's digital.
Hmm.
It even in the physical world, this book started out as code. and that's just the way we live now in the 21st century. And so
Mhm.
for just a day, that book was done and was laid out, and I was just blown away. And it was just a massive experiment. I was like, can
Mhm.
I not only produce the writing,
Mhm.
but then the layout as well in this
Yeah.
custom format? Because this is
Mhm.
a, if you look inside, it's a dictionary. So we've got words and head words and definitions, but the
Mhm.
all writing is very epistolary. It's my
Yeah.
notes. There's unfinished drafts in there. There's some story entries that are like random journal
Mhm.
entries. There's just comments on previous journal entries that I put in there. It's kind of a
You see
hodgepodge,
what I
but
what I love about this, right, is that even if it doesn't become a bestseller,
yeah,
at least the grandkids will go, "Did you see what a weirdo grandpa was?" Like, do you know, I have no idea who my grandparents were on either side, and they've all passed on. I
yeah,
have no I there's no video, I don't even have photos of them. I have no idea what they thought. And you've got a dictionary? Like, I'm trying to, like, sort of brain dump into blogs and stuff,
yes,
partly for my own sanity, but also recognizing 20, 30 years from now, I'm probably gonna be I'll be able to look back and learn or see the delta of, progress, but also my kids are gonna be able to get a better sense of,
absolutely,
you know, what a gift to be able,
yes,
especially during this watershed moment of human history, where
yes.
things are moving at an insane pace, to be able
Yes.
to, sort of journal through the progress. And anyhow, that's I think it's incredibly cool, and what a gift to your family, even to maybe
Yeah.
yourself in 30 years.
Yeah. My wife was very impressed. And not only that, she was like, "Oh wow, this looks really legit." I was like, but that the fact that it was here so fast, and
Yeah.
to your point about legacy, that's
Mm.
something that I've been thinking about a lot with AI. Because previously, like you, I've been journaling, I've been writing for 20 plus years. I've got spirals of all my old journals just sitting right up there. I can look up at them right now in the
Mhm.
closet. And previously, going back through those is a very laborious task.
Mhm.
And that's just one aspect of what I have. Of course, there's all the stuff online, all the Google searches, all the social media posts, all the stuff that previously is the domain of whatever service that you put it on.
Mhm.
It's just locked away.
Mhm.
But now with I can build tools that actually take those things back, and not
Mhm.
only take those things back, but allow me to interpret them, analyze them, synthesize them, and do whatever I want with them.
I never thought about that. Like, I'm trying to build a second brain with Claude right now, right? We can talk about
Yeah,
that. I never thought
absolutely.
about indexing my Google searches, because you're right, that would create such a helpful additional layer of what I learned when and the progress made with it.
Yeah.
That's I need to
This
think
is
about that.
and this is honestly the biggest use that I use for AI.
Yeah.
It's dictating, basically live journaling, but then
Mhm.
getting that synthesis layer on the way back. And it works for me doubly because I am a novelist. I do want fodder for stories. I do want
Mhm.
fodder for, I don't like to say the C word, but content, like I do want things
Yeah.
for that. So
Yeah.
it works as an interpretive layer. It works as an analytical layer. It helps me synthesize when you're just kind of rambling, you're kind of in this mood, well, this and that and this and that. And it's like, so what you're really saying is this. And most
Mhm.
of that is stuff I never publish, but I
Mhm.
have that.
Mhm.
And so one of the things that I've built with my new knowledge from Code Platoon from the boot camp is called conversation capture. I've actually
Conversation
captured
capture? Okay.
I've actually captured all of my chats from ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. I have them all in a database locally on my computer, no cloud storage, nothing. I
Oh,
just
that's
own
awesome.
it.
That was an absolute nightmare for me to try to do, as I was trying to centralize to, what did you
Yeah.
build? Is it a Chrome extension or something that
Yep,
just scrapes them?
it's a Chrome extension that just looks in real time, and I can either just capture it in real time, or I can press a button and press capture, and it goes to a database through which I can search, filter.
Mhm.
I even made a little bit of a fun thing, which is like a rediscover button, which will just rediscover a random day from 2023,
Oh, that's a fun
2022.
idea.
It's an awesome tool. I have over
That's cool.
4,000 chats that I've
Yeah,
captured
yeah. Wow.
in the last 4 years, and some of it's nonsense.
Mhm.
Some of it's like Google searches. It's like, do this, answer this question. It's especially those early days. It's so
Yeah,
funny to
yeah.
see the evolution of, you're just kind of testing, like, what can this thing do?
Mhm.
To fast forward to 2025 this year,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden it's full on dialogues and just me saying
Yeah.
things and live
Yeah.
journaling and then getting AI response that
Mhm.
sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not, but either way you have that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, like I said, my brain's going in so many directions because we're both messing around with the same things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, keep going. So, what else are you learning, or is in the last 9 months and so on has really leapt out at you?
So 9 months, man, that's a big.
Or whatever
I'll
you want
try
to
to
say, wherever else you want to go. Yeah.
yeah, I'll try to focus here. One of the things that I really, and I'll circle back to what I started with your website because I've done the same thing. I've noticed like you've added widgets, you've added quizzes, you've added. This is another slept on use of AI that the average person doesn't know about unless you have a strong marketing background. So I can just tell like you have that extra layer of polish that I'm like, I should probably do that. I could do that, but I'm like,
I'll tell you, bro, honestly, where I suck is that I'm great at shipping stuff like really fast, and then I'm
yeah.
terrible at talking about it. Nobody knows that it's on the website.
I
I'm trying to now figure that out and build a
I
marketing
clicked
sequence, but
through and I was like, man, you've got stuff for. It feels like almost everybody. You've got stuff for teens. You've got stuff for new writers. You've got stuff for experienced writers. You've got challenges. You were just talking about the leagues this morning. I was like, man, it sounds so exciting.
I'm literally trying to solve my own problems and go like, if I can solve them for me with ADD, they're going to be
Yeah.
awesome for somebody else. It's my
And I
working
guess I
theory.
had that question for you.
Hmm.
What has building, because you're obviously still a writer at the end of the day, but what has building legend fiction out to where you've got it? What has it enabled, unlocked for you? And then what has it locked for you? Like, what has it made insanely
Gosh,
difficult?
that's so interesting. Well, what has it made insanely difficult?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not writing the sort of big novel projects that I want to be writing.
Right.
I don't have the mental space, the bandwidth to actually do it.
Yeah.
So I have found that I have focused in or honed in on what I can do, which is trying to write really compelling short stories.
Nice.
And so part of, I guess, the way that my mind works, or the way that the rules or the things that I need to now learn is systems.
Right.
So I have to learn the system of what makes for an interesting or compelling short story. You know,
Mm-hmm.
how the quick reveal, closing it off as fast as possible. Um, and then because I'm also reading through and we're trying to publish an anthology every single month, and I'm trying to level up to a
Wow.
point where we can publish two a month, right? So that we're
Wow.
constantly publishing and generating royalties for our community members. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Um, I am now having to create systems for how to get a book online as quickly as possible. How to identify
Right.
when somebody's writing is like, this is good enough to publish, right?
Nice.
Yes, you could sit with an editor and languish over every sentence, and I'm just
Mm-hmm.
good enough,
Good
demonstrated
enough.
excellence,
Yep.
ship it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then also to be able to communicate that to them, I think that's also valuable. Let them know that, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
what you've got here is good enough to go in a book with, and put your name on the cover, and you can start earning royalties. Now, I can't promise sales, but I can
Of
promise
course.
it's going to be on Amazon. You can wave that in grandma's face.
Right.
Um, but then I'm also able to like, I'm flexing or testing what I have learned about storytelling by reading the different authors who are submitting stories and being able to
Yeah.
quickly let them know or to quickly diagnose.
Right.
Here's where it's weak. Here's where you're strong. And
Mm-hmm.
if I'm hoping that I'm able to be fair to everybody that I reply back to, because I always try to start with, what is it? Compliment sandwich, right? Here's where you're
Yep.
amazing at,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I remember getting that feedback when I was a teen, getting online for the first
Mm-hmm.
time, and it changed my life to get good feedback.
Absolutely.
So here's where you're great at. Focus on this. And then maybe here are my suggestions for that. And
Yeah.
then, lastly, keep it going. You've got this. So I'm building up lots of skills in other areas, and
Right.
then not able to actually, sort of write, which
Yeah.
feels a little bit of a loss.
Yep.
Now, at the same time, what is it actually allowed? I sort of answered both questions at the same time there. Um, what I'm trying to do and build with Legend Fiction is partly it's a passion project that I want this thing to be epic and fun, because how I feel about writing, I want to be able to communicate that to everybody else.
Yeah.
And so I'm like with the widgets you mentioned and the quizzes, I'm trying to solve all of my own problems and then just turn them into little tools and put them online.
Right.
Now, at some point, I need to pull your ear and have a private conversation, maybe, about an app that I've been developing for the last 3 months.
For sure.
But I've had
Yeah.
none of the training that you had, and so
Oh yeah.
maybe you'll be able to help ideate this. So I'm trying to build my own
Yeah.
writing studio, but
Wow.
whereas
Nice.
everybody else has been writing or creating specific, writing tools that's like literally
Mm-hmm.
write your book in my app, and it
Yep.
functions completely offline and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's, especially now with Claude, I've seen an explosion of these because they all
Yeah.
literally keep emailing me, "Hey, do another video, and roundup of writing softwares and include me." I'm
Yeah.
like, just
Mm-hmm.
drop a link under the video, bro, and that's fine.
Right.
I'll upload it. But I'm able to now sort of look at like what is everybody shipping.
Yeah.
Some of them have good design.
Mm-hmm.
It's a major reason why I've not really been able to fall in love with writing software,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't like how it functions, and I'm a design
Yeah.
snob. I want stuff to look and
Mm-hmm.
function beautifully. So
Yes.
it was 3 months ago, I was hit by this idea. What if I were to create my own? And what if, see, here's part of the marketing thing that I like. I love the advice, which is find out what everybody else does,
Mm-hmm.
do that a little better, and then give that away for free,
Right.
and then offer something more valuable on top of that.
There it is. Yep.
That's my working theory. So the writing app software that I've been building, and I don't really care if anybody takes it, and hears about this because I've talked about it in the past and I've demoed it in the past. I need to show you. I wonder if I can show you.
I'd
We'll
love to
just
see it. I mean,
we'll
if you.
let's come back to it.
Oh, sure.
But what I realized is what authors don't just need is another writing software to help you write your novel.
Right.
I think what is more helpful is a production studio. I want
Mm.
authors to think and feel like you are Industrial Light and Magic. You are George Lucas on the
Mm.
set of Star Wars in your mind.
I like that.
And you've got 50 of these potential worlds. Okay. So we need writing software that sort of captures that sense. And so what I did was stitch together some of my favorite websites. Okay. Soon as you log in, it's got to feel like Netflix.
Mm.
Okay.
I see.
Massive. Here's your featured universe.
Mm-hmm.
Generate art or grab your favorite art and image it. And there's like it's not a play button, but it's a keep writing button. It's got a loading
Right.
bar of where you are based on your progress. So it looks like watching progress, but it's writing
Mm-hmm.
progress. And then
Mm-hmm.
you've got your list of other universes, your latest characters and cards, latest notes. And I'm putting together the way that I work into
That's
one
cool.
single app. So when you
Yeah.
go to open your book, like you've got a line of your book covers, okay, or just maybe the latest book you're writing, you hit that and it opens up as a pop-up and it looks like a Netflix chapter list.
Right.
Keep watching your next chapter, but instead it's showing you all of the new chapters that you need, and here's the next one to keep writing, and they all have loading bars. Right. So that's hitting
Nice.
a little bit of the gamification sense of like,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. I love
Um,
that.
I've never seen anybody do this, right? Now, because we now have stuff like generative art, you
Mm-hmm.
can now create art from your world on your terms, and
Absolutely.
then you can fill it in your own app, right? And you don't have to share this with anybody, all right?
Right.
Then if you get into the actual world, you've got a couple of key areas, and then every world functions the same, and the app has these same key areas. You've got Pinterest. It sort of functions like Pinterest for you. It's like a full-on
Mm-hmm.
visual gallery of all the images and all the cards. And
Yeah.
they're you can arrange them by character, by world, by location, by lore, right? Um,
I like that.
most of this is already built and it's demoed and tested and it works really well. I'm trying to develop all the other stuff. There's a full-on writer area, obviously, where you can literally write your novel, you can export it. All of that stuff now is so boilerplate and easy. I
Yeah.
think anybody can deliver that.
That stuff's easy.
The
Yeah.
more important parts is the note organizing area. So it's basically like Trello, but it
Mm-hmm.
exists inside this app so that you can
Right.
drag and drop and organize. And then another one is storyboarding. And that
Right.
functions like Canva and its Infinite Whiteboard or the Obsidian Infinite
Yeah.
Whiteboard.
Mm-hmm.
But you can then stitch multiple ones together. You can upload a background image, put your characters like little circles on it, and go, in this scene, they're going to start here and then down
Yeah.
here. So we're copying TTRPG game mechanics
Yeah.
for
Mm-hmm.
you to sort of visually map out what happens in your story on a map of your world, right? And so in scene 1 or act 1, they're going to be in this part of the world. By the end of the map or the story, they're going to be in this part of the world, right? So it's
Right.
just a little way to map more visibly. Now behind it, this is the part that has me most excited. There's an engine that tracks, and this is all without AI so far. There's
Yeah.
an engine that tracks every time you use a character's word.
Yeah.
We've built, what do you call it? Spell checking software.
Nice.
And right, that already exists. Everybody has this. So it
Yeah.
uses that same mechanic. Like every time you reference a character or a world as you're writing a chapter or in a note, it'll instantly pull up like a little chat bubble over in the side, like a drawer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, you reference this character. Do you want to confirm that for this? Right? Yes, 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 yes. And then what happens is it
Nice.
builds a network sort of node so that when
Yeah.
you go to pull up a character, this character is referenced in all these chapters.
Mhm.
This you can then build knowledge graphs, right?
Yes.
Or I don't even know what else is possible once you're helping an author instantly track where things are. Now,
Yes.
at some point, so I'm calling this World Maker Studio,
Mhm.
um, patent pending, copyright, whatever. Leave me alone for a bit. And then the magic comes when you do add in AI, if you
Yeah,
want. And so
absolutely.
you go
Mhm.
grab your own code,
Mhm.
like your own API from ChatGPT or Claude. You drop it in and activate it. And I think I'm calling it Stadia. Stadia will be like a little sort of bubble that'll show up in the bottom right corner,
Mhm.
and you hit that, and it'll quietly pay attention to what you write.
Yeah.
It might offer editing, all the basic stuff. But the more
Mhm.
important things is you finish writing a chapter. Here's some recommended actions. Would you like to update your main character
Mhm.
with the details that you said in this? Like you said, she had blue eyes. Well, is it brown or blue? Let's correct that.
Mhm.
Um, Here is a summary of your chapter, right?
Yeah.
Would you like to generate one? Or would you like to connect this chapter to something else? So there's recommended actions to help you so that what happens is your wiki of your world is constantly being developed and updated. Like, oh, you
Yes.
referenced a new location. Should I add that to your wiki and create a card for that for you? So that you're just in the zone writing your world and you're not having to stay on top of and
Yes.
control your world building, which for me, I love world building and I go insane trying to remember everything. So to have that
Absolutely.
automatically handled for you,
Mhm.
I can't wait for that. So then there's the two parts down the line. Again, all of this list exists completely offline, completely free.
Mhm.
You load it up in your Google Drive so you get auto backups all the time.
Nice.
The parts that I have started building out and will build out later on is you can export any of your little characters that you create, like those
Mhm.
cards, like that Pinterest masonry. You can export any of them as a social graphic so that you
Nice.
can be sharing with people
Mhm.
like once a week, once a day. I'm working on my novel. Here's my character.
I
I've
love
written a
that.
new chapter. Export. Here's like a little sneak peek of the sort of chapter, and here's what I wrote, or here's a phrase or sentence I really like. Export. So again, the idea is it's a production studio. It handles
Right.
your wiki for you. It helps you create social stuff. It's a click of a button to just generate a recommended calendar of stuff to ship,
Yeah.
right? Based on all the work you've already created. And then I think the sort of the last thought that has me excited about this is, um, oh, I'm drawing a blank. At some point, we'll probably want to be able to offer somebody like the ability to host it completely online.
Yeah.
And then that's where you can like hit a button to publish your wiki, and it's only your wiki. So that
Awesome.
as you're sharing your world, you can then take your wiki and then embed it on your own website or link to it so that people can then go and explore and see your world
Absolutely.
with the nice, the beautiful header art, and all of your locations. And it's just like, we're going to make this so easy for authors to be able to visually demonstrate um, and create the content that is needed to share their world like effortlessly,
Yes.
uh, so that you can stay focused on writing and just stay
Yep.
absolutely juiced by what you're writing. That's the
Absolutely.
idea.
I I love this idea, and I feel like you really understand that a lot of the times it's never ideas. It's not really the lack of writing that stops writers from writing their story. It's all of the other stuff. It's the world building, it's the marketing, it's the how do I keep everything organized? And
Mhm.
that's what a lot of people don't understand. We started out talking about that, how this this ability for AI to organize these things in the background while you write,
Mhm.
you don't have to worry about it to surface things when you need them in
Mhm.
real time. That is a fantastic use of AI. I don't know any writer who would not want to use a system for something to remind you that, hey, you said she had blue eyes. Why she got brown eyes in this chapter?
And
That type of
to have
thing.
your
Yeah,
wiki constantly being like sort of self-updated,
absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah,
how valuable is that? Oh, I forgot there's other stuff too, like author health. Like it's tracking your writing habits.
nice.
And I think that can happen even without AI. But it
Right.
just
Oh yeah,
tracks your
that's
writing
easy.
habits. And then at some point, you can then tell AI, look at my writing habits. What do you recommend? And
Right.
then it might be able to go, well, here's a nice little report with lovely little graphs. And I built that
Right.
app unlovable ages back to test it.
Yeah.
Um, you might recommend trying to write at this time of day, like 60 times you have written, 30 of those times you wrote at this time of day and you put out massive amounts versus this other time, plus the days when you got to walk, and so you might answer a little quiz every day. And so
Yeah.
it's sort of tracking your mental health. the idea is to build a resilient writer as well. And then to be able to
Absolutely.
go, oh, most of us are not looking at the patterns of when we write over like a year or 6 months, and to
Hmm.
get some help doing that and to go, oh, I should absolutely be writing at 6 in the morning. I need to actually restructure my day to stop feeling like I'm going crazy.
Right.
Um, you know, as a, just letting you know, I think your video might have frozen. You could maybe toggle it
Oh,
off and on again. Um,
oh,
at least for me, it's sort of frozen.
let me check. Uh,
And
oh,
maybe it's just me. Hey, chat, I think we got a viewer. Maybe you can still see him. There you go. You're back.
okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
I had to refresh it.
I think to be able to make all of this free, I have no idea what's possible to steal as far as market share. My wife
Yeah.
is like, you damn idiot, you need to be charging the heck for this thing.
That's exactly what my wife would be saying. My wife would be like, "Why are you
But
making all this free stuff?" Like,
but I'm thinking like, all of the tools and the quizzes and the apps that you've seen me shipping to the website,
yeah,
that's me building like specific little areas that can all be available inside the thing.
absolutely.
But I'm
Yeah.
thinking for most people, to be able to offer that, now, of course, I can do really cool stuff in it, right? The bottom of the dashboard, like Legend Fiction has all these additional tools. Hey, you want a website or something? Like you
Hmm.
can just come to talk to our studio and we charge this and this. And so it's a tool, it's a gateway tool to all kinds of other things. But
Right.
I think for a lot of these, they'd be like, I don't want to handle backups. I want
Hmm.
the ability to have collaborators co-editing this with me, and then
Hmm.
all of the other layer of stuff. And at that point, you need a centralized place where it's stored and saved online, and you've got to log in, and you can trust backups, and you can write from anywhere. And
Yeah.
you want to like one button publish your wiki, and it's all hosted and stored. At
Hmm.
that point, I need somebody else to come in and help sort of take this to completion because I
Yeah.
don't know how to handle security, and I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, so at that, and of course, that's something definitely to charge for. One thing I was thinking
Yeah.
of charging was here's the base for free, which is, to my mind, this is already so complex and delightful that I think
Yeah.
it would be fantastic. And so then you would pay like a little something, like a one-off
Hmm.
fee lifetime to be able to have unlock backgrounds or special effects. Like I've added cool things like snow can fall, or things to make it like sparks rising. It makes the experience of writing feel cinematic.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I've got a little drawer that sits on every single page so that you can put a Spotify track or a YouTube video on every single
Nice.
chapter that you're writing so that you can get in the zone. Like, as soon as you get in to start writing, you hit go, it auto plays, and like you're in it.
Awesome.
Um, there's so
Yeah.
much that can be done. Anyway.
There's so much that you can do, and this is one of the things that I love about this era. That you and I know this because we are actively building stuff. Like,
Mhm,
it's not just about writing. It's not just about getting content out there. You're
mhm.
building something that has become a passion project within another passion project. Um, it's just amazing that you can have an idea and just less than 3 months later,
I can't
you've
believe
got
that.
something. I know.
It's
I'm.
incredible.
You can have something operational that
Mhm.
hey, I'm not going to ship this as it is, but I can show it to people.
It's
It
enough for a
works.
demo. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know,
I
we're
mean,
we're at this is
yeah.
part of my conviction, right? And I want to help ride this wave, which is there's it's my favorite example right now. The author who wrote the series Silo. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've seen that. It's so fun.
Hmm.
Um, this is what I have seen. I may be wrong. I didn't research deeply enough, but it's what I found after just some initial research. When he first published these books on, I don't know, KDP, he
Yeah.
used the default KDP covers.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, they look absolutely awful. I would never
Yeah.
buy that. It literally says Silo with the crap looking cover. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know who this guy is. I don't know if he paid for ads. It's now a multi-million dollar series,
Right.
on Apple.
Hmm.
Um, or there's somebody who wrote, what is the name of that book? I can't remember. She wrote a Harry Potter fan fiction and it blew up on the forums. And so an agent found her or she got picked up. She went and
Yeah.
just rewrote the names. It's now being turned into another multi-million dollar series after being just blowing up as a book.
Nice.
So that's telling me not only is all of the algorithms seem to be doing this right now, they're looking for and surfacing new talent
Absolutely.
because we've got a problem with celebrity bloat
Yes.
in these algorithms. So they're working overtime to start resurfacing or surfacing new talent. But I think agents are also working hard to pay attention to forums like who's showing promise,
Right.
right? And so I'm
Hmm.
like, I think that not I think agents are working overtime. I think that everybody is struggling with a ton of AI slop just
Oh yeah.
being auto shipped to their inboxes
Absolutely.
and they can't get
Yep.
around it. So I'm like, okay, what if we could help an author be able to develop or think about themselves as a production studio,
Yep.
right? You go to their website, it's not only just buy my book, I don't know what I'm about. Like, no, okay.
Mm-hmm.
What if you could answer a little quiz and you get a mythic sounding bio that you'd be proud to have somebody read aloud for you on a podcast? Okay. Paints a
Absolutely.
cool picture of who you are as an epic human being.
Yep.
And then what if somebody could go, well, let's have a look at the worlds you're creating. And then it sort of populates with the visuals that you've now created.
Right.
Game developer can look at this and go, oh, heck, this is IP that could be
Yep.
easily $1 million. You didn't have that. It's all locked up in text. And this is the downsides with authors is up until now, we've never been able to communicate visually.
Right.
Now we can for almost free, 20
Right.
bucks a month, something like that. You know, you have
Yeah.
Midjourney, right? Game developer could instantly look at this. An investor
Right.
could look at this. An agent could go, oh my gosh, this is a movie in the making, right?
Absolutely.
With characters, world locations. We can just take this and put it in front of real artists and have it recreated, turned into a comic series, an animated series, like whatever.
Right.
The opportunity that authors now have to become their own production studios is absolutely, I don't know where it ends. And it's so exciting to me. And I want to test it and build it for myself. And in
Yep.
trying to solve it for me, I'm going to try and solve it for everybody.
Well, you and I are on the exact same page, man. I mean, that's literally the name of my outfit, Hayden Academy Collective Studios, right? Like,
Tell
and
me about this. Is this new? I
so
don't think I've heard of this.
no, so this is my business. It
Yeah.
is, I started it in 2022, and
Okay.
originally I started it as an umbrella for just my stuff. But
Hmm.
over the years, what's happened is other people have come along and I've worked with them. I've published their books, I've edited their books, I've ghostwritten for them, and we have this kind of collaborative relationship. So it's meant to be. I don't know if I could do the whole legend fiction thing, do it as hardcore as you do, but I do see myself exactly as you're saying. I see myself as a studio, right? Someone who can make music, someone who can create print books, who can do audiobooks,
Hmm.
do whatever I want with under the creative umbrella.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I can help others as well. I can do that for myself. And just like you know, you've said multiple times today, if I solve my own problems, then I can help other people solve theirs. That is the exact mentality. And when people see you going for it, they can't help but go for it themselves. And I
So
don't know what you've seen, but I mean, I can tell you just man to man, like you inspire me for what you've put together with I mean, just the way you keep going with it, man. Like every time I look away from you for like 2 or 3 months, I'm like, oh man, he's got 1,000 more followers. He's got 100 more
well,
haters too. Coming at him with pitchforks. But you know that's gonna happen as you get
yeah.
more exposure and things like that. But you are doing it, man, and
Thank you.
I love the way you laid out earlier before we got on the writer's journey. How you start out with, you just have an idea all the way to legend status. You're building your brand, you're building your studio.
Hmm.
Um, I love that progression. And I was like, oh, I feel like a legend now.
Yeah,
Because I'm
that's
exactly
awesome.
a couple of steps behind you as far as like the marketing stuff. Like I'm not,
Well, I didn't define
I'm
or
a,
put a cap on that. I just said, are you doing it at all?
that's
There's
true.
a
That's
ton of
true.
authors just haven't even reached that point at all.
You don't
So
have to be
go
doing it
you.
well. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
I
yeah,
guess
I
I
didn't
am.
say.
Hey, I'm here, right? So I'm doing this
Yeah.
interview. And by the way, this is my very first interview of 2026. So
Hey, wow.
I
We need to
know
get you back on more regularly.
I have not, yeah, I have
No,
not
you've been
been,
hunkered down, staying focused. To
yes,
each his own. To each his
yeah,
own.
yeah, I've been away.
Mm.
But no, I'm glad that this was the first, man, because it's
Well,
just
when we
exciting
last,
talking to you.
abs- always there aren't. I've got like maybe on one hand the number of people who I can just drop into a conversation like this with, and we just banging on all cylinders, firing on all
Yeah,
cylinders. What is
yeah,
when we last chatted, you shared some really interesting stuff about big publishers,
yeah,
um, finding their own ways to adopt AI, and I've been looking at or sort of keeping an eye on what is it like? I think Hollywood, or I don't know if it was a division in Hollywood. Or some movie studio training like 100,000 new creators on how to incorporate AI into their workflows or into their
yep.
systems or something.
Hmm.
What are you seeing? It's like again, it's been almost 9 months now. What's continued to shift? People are still being just as loud. I'm still
Yep,
seeing the same
same.
arguments that are being shared now as they were 5 years ago. Hence the latest article that I posted about generative art. And
Right.
I think you're Catholic. I forget. Excuse me.
No, I'm not
No.
Catholic. I'm
Okay.
not
No worries. So I
traditionally
also
religiously active, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, the Pope, our Pope Leo, he wrote a document about AI, and I saw some misrepresentations of it on Instagram that just made me so angry that I
Yeah.
went and read it for myself and realized, why was I surprised? I won't say he agrees with everything I think, but like he and I are
Hmm.
looking at the same thing and we're seeing the same opportunities and the same
Absolutely.
drawbacks and potential flaws and whatever. And
Absolutely.
so drafted my own take on that.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I'm not wrong, people, in what I think. But anyway, you know, Pope Leo and me are in the same corner. I
Nice.
have never had a Philly cheesesteak, by the way. I need to have one of those. No, he didn't grow up in Philly. No, deep dish. I've never had deep dish. That's what it
Deep
was,
dish
because he's
pizza.
from Chicago.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what has changed or evolved, or what has maybe sort of surprised you in terms of like adoption? Um, yeah, with these tools, like as you get past the hype and we just look at what the
Exactly.
industries are just
Yeah.
doing what they do, you know.
Yeah. I mean, and all signs are pointing to, what I would expect, that industries are doubling down on, they want more books. For example, there's a latest scandal. I don't know if you heard about this. Where I live here in Vegas,
Mhm.
there is a company, I don't know if it's a subsidiary of Amazon or something like that, but they are represented by Amazon. They work out of an Amazon facility. They are
Okay.
buying rare books, and
Yeah, I've
they are
heard
one
that.
of these companies that are scanning them and trashing them.
Mm.
They're ripping the spines off and they're throwing them
Mhm.
away. Um, and apparently, this company it's not doing it above board. We've known that this is happening for
Okay.
many years, but this is a new development. Actually, they just had a story about it yesterday.
Mhm.
So that and the signal of, there are just so many more AI books now. Like, every time I get an Amazon, like, hey, you should try this book, it's like half of it's AI books.
Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
that's just me. Maybe I'm looking at these things too much. So it's like, hey, do you want another slop book? You read that, the beginning of that slop book. So here's another side of
Yeah.
slop for you. Um, but I have seen these companies doubling down. In fact, there's a recent story about this novel called Daggermouth. I don't know if you've heard of this novel, but
I don't know.
it
Yeah, keep going.
it's a New York Times bestseller,
Okay.
or some type of one of the lists bestseller. But it is known that she partially used AI
Mhm.
to, or she was accused, and then she said, "I didn't use it," and then they didn't care. It it
Wasn't
it
this
was already selling like
like maybe 6
gangbusters.
months ago was a multi-million dollar and a movie deal or something, and it all fell through?
Yeah, this
Or
was
is
a
this
couple months
newer?
ago. No, so
Okay.
this is newer. This is recent. It might
Okay.
be even this week. I don't keep up too much with my book talk drama and my booktube drama, but this is one of those stories that came out.
Okay.
So the bottom line is, I've been saying several times that to myself, that all this, it's just going to take the right person to. It's going to take a semi-famous author to
Mhm.
say, "Yeah, I used AI to plot it. I went back and rewrote every word or whatever, but this is the book. Millions of people love it. It's selling like gangbusters, and nobody cares."
Mhm.
That's all it's going to take, is the right person. We haven't had a big enough person say admit to that yet, but it's
Mhm.
going to happen. It is
Mhm.
already, and once that happens, I feel like all the AI hate and all that stuff, it's going to significantly decline, because it's going to be like, well, so and so used it and their book wasn't bad, and look at this. We already see this happening in Hollywood.
Mhm.
Netflix, I read something recently that Netflix has used AI in mostly post production in over
Mhm.
300 titles this year in 2026.
Yeah.
So
It's
industries
like
are
I saw, what's
slowly,
his name? Cameron, James Cameron, right? And he's
yeah,
talking about the new avatars, and he's like, production on these things
absolutely,
is so astronomical, you know,
yeah,
uh, because, and this is one reason why I think a lot of us are turning to what AI can do, because
right,
all of these industries have continued inflating their income or their rates for things
right,
because they know you're what are you gonna do? Not pay for it? No, you're
right,
going to pay whatever we ask for, and there comes a point where it
right,
becomes so cost prohibitive that putting out a blockbuster movie is, like, bigger than the GDP of most countries, um,
absolutely. Same
or
things
small countries.
happening. Same things happening across gaming. In the industry that I've got a foot in now, software
Yeah?
development, same thing is happening, as far as it is becoming normalized. It is becoming a tool to where we've had several people come into our boot camp and say, "Hey, what do you know about AI? Make sure you say that you did an AI block. how are you using AI? Like almost everybody that's come and talked to us has asked us about it or made it clear that this is what we are looking for right now. And this is software development. So this is
Mhm.
kind of ground zero of
Yeah.
AI use and
Yeah.
practical
Yeah.
AI use. Everybody knows it's good for software development. Other industries, it's not so apparent, but my point is
Mhm.
it's all kind of blending together. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter. And I just feel like we're maybe like 6 months away from having that case to where, oh well, this person's big enough, they used it, I thought their book was great, even if it was scaffolded with AI, edited with AI, whatever, I felt something from this story.
Mhm.
And I'm sure
Yeah.
you have stuff, everybody has stuff that they watch or listen to
Mhm.
that even if they don't know it's AI, they have enjoyed.
Mhm.
And there's stuff that I know is AI that I have enjoyed.
Mhm.
There's stuff on YouTube, there's informational stuff. It just depends on what it
Yep.
is. Certainly,
Yeah.
some things like I'm not going to search for the AI solution or the AI product, but
Mhm.
if it is served to me and I get an emotional resonance from it, I get educated from it, I get what I need from it,
Yeah.
I don't care.
Well, I think it'll come, and just to nitpick and be annoying, it's not just that it's coming from AI, but that somebody
Right.
used AI, commissioned
Exactly.
it, art,
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
to achieve a goal or an outcome that actually worked. Because a lot of us who are just like, AI, make me a cool thing, and it's like, oh wow, and
Right.
then you ship it because you have no, you're not a good creator. You don't know what you're doing. You're not,
Absolutely.
you don't have the right systems to ideate, iterate towards an
Mm-hmm.
outcome. That's why I'm bullish on this. Creators are the best people to understand how to use AI, because a creator will intuit a goal and then do whatever it takes to find a way to get to that goal. Whereas
Absolutely.
most other people like, well, AI is stupid, and I'm like, dude, idiot in,
Right.
idiot out. Right? It's your
Absolutely. And
prompts are the
and
thing.
and don't get me wrong, there are absolute slop artists out there. There are a ton of them. They're everywhere.
Yeah,
There are
yeah.
people just hit and publish, make a video, faceless YouTube, book unedited, and I've read that, and that pisses
Hmm.
me off too. Like I don't want to read this type of trash. Like I
Hmm.
can tell with it. I've got a new rule, by the way, and maybe you can borrow this, and anybody who's watching, like all I need to do is read the first three, five screens if I'm reading on my phone of your book, or
Hmm.
the first 3 pages, and I know if it's, I know how much you used AI or how
Yeah,
much you didn't care if you used
probably.
AI.
Hmm. Yep,
And
yep.
so and you'd be surprised, man. I've probably peeked into like a dozen books this year, and
Hmm.
I just see just people just they're just publishing it, and it just tells me that you did not look at this, because if you had just read one or two sentences, you would have known this stuff didn't make any sense.
Hmm. Yeah,
You just would have
it's
known. It's
awful.
pretty obvious to
Mhm.
anybody who can read.
Yeah.
And so,
That's actually one reason I'm interested to keep developing the community,
yeah,
because publishing, like you just said, continues to be an issue. And at some point, I'm building the systems now, and I want to get to a point where I'm creating my own publishing house, right, to publish
absolutely.
the authors in our community.
Yeah.
And then um, I'm seeing people sort of scrambling out there trying to find ways to prove that, you know, how much or how little AI was involved or none at all inside a
Mm-hmm.
project. And
Yeah.
it seems to me like an absolute scam. I'm seeing, what is this?
Yeah.
This authors guild where you pony up and pinky swear that you didn't, so that you can
Oh gosh.
buy a
Yeah.
badge to stick on your book, and then you got to keep paying to keep this badge active. I'm like, this feels like the biggest scam
Absolute
ever.
scam. Yeah.
And then some,
Ridiculous.
and then learning that like again, agents and their inboxes are overwhelmed with this, or people running contests. All people are doing is just taking the contest parameters, dropping it in, having it spit out a story, and then just shipping that, because they
Mm-hmm.
realize this is a way to make income. Is if you can just spam enough
Absolutely.
contests, you might win something. And
Yeah.
and so I'm thinking, what, none of the Pangram, this silly thing
Oh.
happening, AI to fight AI. It's like the Spider-Man thing, all three of them
No,
looking at
that's
each other, right? And I'm like, none of these are the right answer. The
yeah.
best solution I can think of just goes back to being more human than not.
That's
And
it.
so I'm like, if you build a community,
Mm-hmm.
we can sort of not guarantee, but there's a greater shot at demonstrating the provenance and the character of
Absolutely.
the author who produces the novel. To be able to go, they're a legend fiction author,
That's right.
means you've got a history inside the community. People
Mm-hmm.
know you, have met you. You know, there's a personal sort of validation.
That's it.
Um, that would be the best way that I could think of,
That is
to,
absolutely the
uh,
best way.
I think that
It's
we need more micro communities, or just more niches for, and it's like, because if you get somebody, I cannot believe I found this, somebody who shipped like 30 books all on July 15th of
Oh,
last
wow.
year, and
Yeah.
they have no bio, no website,
Yeah,
and you're
it's
like,
pretty obvious. Right. You came out of nowhere like, "Man, you've published 4 books in 1 year, and you never published a book before, and you have no
Mhm.
website, you have no presence."
Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing online. We got a cool
it's
comment here from Vic. Hey, Vic, good to see you. Vic is a pretty fantastic member of our community that we met, I think, through YouTube. He says a few years ago, self published almost automatically meant low quality slop,
yep,
like Keith says. Once one or two people make a high quality product, that stigma will vanish almost overnight. Absolutely
absolutely.
true. And I think it's, again, it's not only already happened.
It's already happened. Yeah,
Movies like Silo,
yeah.
or I cannot remember this other one. It's like, oh gosh, this sort of moody Harry Potter, romance series or book that she wrote. And it's thick too. Gabby knows this. She's my co-host. She
Hmm,
knows this. Anyway, um, that's again stuff that's like it was started up by being self-published and was so good.
absolutely.
The concept was so good. It just took that discovery.
Right.
So anyway, so what
Yeah,
do
I
you go ahead, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, I feel like I've already been there. I know what my last book, Prompted Hearts, like in Grief Algorithm, that it it's indie, right? Anything that I put out is indie, but
Hmm.
at the same time, I'm like, there's a level of quality that I strive for. So, I mean, to the comments, speaking to the comment, yeah, I feel like that bar has already been raised. That was
Hmm.
probably like 10 or 15 years ago that, okay, it's self published. We know you threw it up on CreateSpace or KDP or whatever. But
Hmm.
now there are some serious indie authors that are like, man, they're good. Their
Hmm.
products are awesome and their writing's great as
Yeah.
well. Um,
There's a guy I've been introduced to who lives in, oh gosh, don't know his name. He lives in Scotland, and he is just printing books. I don't know how he does it.
nice.
And I think his series is called The Witches of Scotland. And I think I read the first one or two. He's somebody who opened me to a whole new approach on marketing, basically. But he creates these novellas. They're not even
Nice.
full on novels. It's a novella. So
Yeah.
you feel like you make a lot of progress really quickly. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
very fun sort of popcorn high concept kind of thing, which probably
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. But he just keeps it's like watching a series, and he
Mm-hmm.
just has this fantastic volume of adventuring that just continues on. He's kind of like mixing well, whatever. Uh he gets to a point where he can just give away a ton of books for free and just totally game the KDP system because
Mm-hmm.
he's got all of these other books that you can just spend a ton of time with. And he just
Right.
shows up on Instagram and he's talking all the time, incredibly human, and
Yeah.
personal. And you're just reimagining the game, and
Yes.
you look at what he's been able to sell, the number of reviews, and you do the
Right.
math and like, oof, this guy is rolling in it.
Wow.
And well earned, but he's indie,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So I feel like the whole indie, equals low quality compared to what? Like I
Hmm.
don't know. I mean, I feel like any traditionally published book, um, yeah, you could sit them on the same shelf with
Hmm.
my books could be up there,
Hmm.
and you probably couldn't tell if they
Yeah.
were up there. That
We
mine was
gotta
indie and theirs was, they had $1,000 or thousands of dollar.
we just you run ads to also
Yeah.
find the people, but he's like, Vic is asking, who's buying all of these out of nowhere books? Are real books in danger of being, let me put it back, in danger of being crowded out by an AI assembly line, or is it just similar low effort human product? For what it's
Absolutely.
worth, I was not saying that, what's his name, this Scottish guy is AI producing his books. He's not. I think he's genuinely writing them. He's a bit
Hmm.
like those, what is that? Um, 50 books to 50K, or
Yeah.
20 books to 20K,
Exactly.
whatever it is, whatever that challenge is. The
Hmm.
kind of thing where you have learned the process so well, you can just sit and your first draft is like 80% good enough. Somebody will enjoy this. And you learn
Absolutely.
to keep writing. There are some authors who are just that good. Now, I
Yeah.
personally did not love his writing style, but that could just be me.
Yeah.
Um, but to that question, what do you think about this? Who is buying all of these books? Like, we've got a weird thing happening right now where,
Yeah.
and this is another conversation maybe to have with you as a guy, and this is maybe as a dad. Boys
Yeah.
aren't reading, and so we need a
Yeah.
revolution of boys literature. This is a
Yeah.
bandwagon I've got one foot on, and I want to get more into.
Yeah.
Um, we know girls are reading, and they're leading the
Yeah.
market, but then you get all
Definitely.
of this slop,
Yep.
and so then who is buying, these things, especially
Yeah.
like with AI just sort of glutting a lot of these systems. I
Hmm.
think they're catching up very quickly and having to try to figure out how to police and deprioritize, um, It's a bit of a mess. As you're
Yeah.
looking at this, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're sort of doing some of your own marketing,
Yep.
you wanna win in some way, whatever that means for you.
Yeah.
What do you see yourself up against, and what are you sort of thinking of, um, to get yourself out there? Or are you just literally writing, putting it out there and just staying focused on writing, and who cares if it sells because 'cause you're just having a fun time, or
Yeah.
what's the balance you're finding?
A little bit of all three or all of them, and I
Mm.
just actually wrote this in Hayden's Field Dictionary. You've got to write. Oh, well, I have to
Yeah.
write for
Cough,
the
cough.
right. I have to write for the artist, the
Yeah.
accountant, and the audience,
Mm.
and those are three different targets that I have depending on what I'm writing. Um, I try and make the default the artist, but of course, when you're putting out a major work like the novel that I've been working on for a while, you want to make sure that, hey, the audience is going to get this in some way. I need to frame it in a certain way. And I think you have to, I think that's how I stay sane as a writer is distinguishing between those three. Now, to answer your question about, you know, what am I up against? I mean, I feel like you know well what I'm up against. I mean, the fallacy that writing is, it's all these old dead white guys, and those are the guys that typically are selling. And okay, maybe historically that's definitely true, but in 2026, in modern author land, majority of authors are women. Majority of readers are women. A majority of authors that are selling are women. Let
Mhm.
me clarify that. Let's be clear. But yeah, so being a man, particularly a black man, I already know I'm at a massive disadvantage. There are not very many of me that are writing serious. I mean, I'm in it to your point with this the Scottish author, right? Like, sounds like he's writing genre fiction, and nothing wrong with this. But when
Mhm.
you've got a formula down, you just know, okay, boom, 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 boom. It's just change scenario, change characters, boom, same, but it's the same skeleton every book.
Mhm.
That's not
Yeah.
how I write. That's not what I'm interested in writing. And so I
Mhm.
know I am making life very hard for myself by writing.
Sure.
Every book is kind of a little bit different. Even in my main series, it's still a little bit different. It's a different perspective, it's a different form factor, everything. So
Mhm.
I'm up against that as well. But I kind of went through this mini existential crisis like I do once a week.
Yeah.
And I was
Sure.
like, why are you doing this, man? Like, why are you writing fiction in 2026? I saw a post on X the other day that was like, man, if you're writing fiction literature in the 21st century, you must be smoking crack. They had Elmo, crack, and a stack of
Right.
books. And then Elmo's face was just dumped in white powder. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
and I get it, man. The analogy is a bit extreme, but it's true. Social media feed versus a book. I mean, you're in trouble. You're
Yeah.
already, but at the same time, I love words. I love telling stories through words. And kind of to wrap this all in a bow,
Mm.
I am absolutely thrilled that we have tools like AI to transfer those words to images, to video, to audio, to all these other mediums. But at
Yeah.
the same time, what I like most is words and telling stories through that. And so I have to be honest with myself. Like, I prefer my books long. I prefer print over books over ebooks. And
Mhm.
so obviously print costs a lot of money, and that's very prohibitive for a lot of people. And I can't
Yeah.
put out a lot of books very fast because I do put almost all of my books in print.
Mhm.
Um, and that's just a preference. But anyway, this is all speaking to what I'm up against, and
Mhm.
how I keep going is I understand that nobody's telling my story the way I tell it. And you are great at evangelizing this message of, yeah, there's a lot of stories out there. Yeah, there's a lot of slop, but they don't know your story.
Mhm.
They don't know it the way you know it. And if you present it in a certain way, you might find an audience. You might find somebody who resonates with it. And to your point of what you're doing with legend fiction, and your point about the Scottish guy, you don't need a lot. I don't even think you need 1,000 people. Like, you need people that are consistently willing to give your books a shot, that know who you are, that know, hey, he's a real human.
Mhm.
Even if he's using AI to scaffold or whatever, he's a
Mhm.
real human doing this. And I think that's another advantage we have of being out there and having a presence that You know, Keith Hayden came on a podcast and talked about this stuff. You
Yeah,
know, Dominic has Legend Fiction and that he's out there bringing other authors together. So that already puts you above the slop artists because most of these slop artists are anonymous.
that's
Like,
true. You
you
know,
do
that's
not
a
see
whole
them
edge
out in
I
the
didn't pay
streets.
attention to. Yeah,
You
keep
do not
going.
see
That's
them.
awesome.
Yeah, most slop artists, they are not out there because they do feel some type of way. And everybody has to go through this. And I know you've
Mhm.
gone through this. I've gone through this as far as AI's here. What does that mean for me in the picture? How much is me? How much is the AI? I went through this for years, man. It
Mm,
took me years to figure it out. Like, okay, this is the sweet spot for how much I'm willing to cede to the machine and how
mhm.
much I don't care how the hell long it takes.
Yeah,
This has got to be me.
I hear
And
that. Can I ask
you,
where, for you,
yeah,
what is that line? And I'll share mine too. What is that line for you?
it's not a percentage, man. It's basically it's a case by case basis. It's a
Yeah, I
project by
hear that.
project basis. How much I feel like I need to be there in
Hmm.
steering. I went through
Hmm.
this point actually when at the beginning of Code Platoon where I got kind of in the dumps.
Really?
There was a day we had been using Claude heavily,
Hmm.
and this was part of the course, and we were just sitting there like basically watching it generate the
Hmm.
app, and I was like, I woke. I remember waking up the next day and journaling like, I really don't want to touch AI today.
Mm,
I don't want to touch anything. And so that was a signal to me. And I've rarely felt that way, but that was a signal that, okay, you're doing too much. You're going too hard with this stuff. Like,
mm.
and once again, that was part of the curriculum, but I knew I had exceeded where I wanted to be. So every project is a case by case basis by
Yeah,
how
yeah.
much I need to be in there. But I know if I over rely on AI for my writing, for my organization, for anything, I'm not going to learn. And especially if I'm in a position where I'm writing a story, I'm exploring feelings, I'm exploring stories, I'm exploring characters, all this stuff,
Yeah.
I'm going to lose some of that when I use AI too much.
Hmm.
And I don't want to lose that because that's the
Yeah.
whole point of me writing, the act
Yes,
of writing, not
I
just to
agree.
publish content, not just to get a book out and sell copies. No,
Hmm.
I'm here to actually write and actually figure out what Keith Hayden thinks about this.
Yeah.
I can't cede that to AI. But certain tasks, when it comes to, like I said, the formatting, when it comes to certain stuff with code, hell yeah, that's AI all
Hmm.
day. Writing documentation, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
The mechanics of it should absolutely be
Yeah,
software and tools just handling that stuff. Yeah, I found for me, it's like, and I don't know if you've ever gotten into the whole building a second brain thing, and we're totally out
yeah,
of time. But if you ever have, or you've got thoughts on that, man, I want to have you back and we could talk more about that. This idea
absolutely.
of maybe authors should be thinking about how to do that and what progress I have learned on it. But anyway, um, what I the line for me is literally the words going on the page for a project that matters to me. Put it that
Yes,
way. Especially when it comes to creating like a fiction story where I am I'm involved in this, or I want to communicate something, or it's something that is deeply fun for me. The actual act of putting the words on the page, that needs to be me. I want that to be me. There are some
absolutely.
projects where it's like, this is a fun project. If it never happens, I won't lose sleep over it, but it would be fun for it to exist. And so I'm
Right.
gonna get it ghost written. And then I'll
Yep.
go through and edit it afterwards. And so I'll get a
Right.
first draft. And I did this for a couple of projects, and I'll keep sharing some of them on my blog, where it's
Yeah.
like I create these sort of movie skits um, that they end up training a part of me to pay attention to like dialogue in a way that I didn't, which is really fun. I think your
Yeah.
video sort of stopped again. You can just sort
Oh,
of pop it off and on again. But when it comes to the actual novels that really matter to me, I am the point break of where the words and where the inspiration meets the page. But what AI is phenomenal for is like journaling or trying to journal through or think through why something matters to me, because there's half of the time I have no idea why something is interesting and has landed, and I don't have family members or friends around or whatever
absolutely.
to really go deep for as long as I want to go deep.
There you go.
And this is why building a second brain is so cool, because
Yep.
I've downloaded like all of my blog posts. I think it's something like 4,000 blog posts across multiple blogs, and all of my dream journaling from the last 2 years, almost every day, and all
Awesome.
of the books that I've written, and just everything, put it all together and go, okay, harvest this, mine this,
There you go.
understand it all, look for
Mm-hmm.
connections. It's finally getting to a point where it's actually able to be helpful and act like an executive assistant and so on, and know what I want to accomplish, and it's getting there.
Yep.
I'm still kicking this thing every single morning, but I am realizing how much I don't know what I want to ask. It's like all of these jokes about you get a genie and then
Yep.
you ask the question and the genie gives you exactly what you answered and it's always wrong.
Yeah.
Um, it's exactly what AI is. And so you really do have to learn to ask the right question to get the answer that you want, and which is funny. Somebody made this comment that and your video is not showing up for some reason,
Yep.
but every mystical, trainee or somebody in these sort of older mystical religions has always been like, the question is the thing. Until you know how to ask the right question, you will never develop your sort of spiritual life or something. It's
Right.
that koan of, you think you want the answer? No, you need the question. Ask the right
Exactly.
question and the answer will appear, or something like that. It's like, man, that's exactly how AI works as well. It's you understand what it is you're actually asking, because half the time we don't know what we're asking because we don't know
Absolutely.
ourselves and we're not paying attention at all. So
Right.
AI is a phenomenal sort of counterweight to really get you to think more deeply about, write in my voice. What does it
Hmm.
actually mean?
Right.
Be inspired by what I think. Well, what do you think? Have you
Right.
told anybody? Have you written it down?
Right.
Um, do you even know? Most of us just don't spend any time with ourselves because we're doom scrolling,
Absolutely.
brain rotting.
Right. Hmm.
So much. Any last sort of thoughts that you want to maybe leave with us as we close out here?
No, man, I knew this would be a good conversation. I was looking forward to this, and yeah, it hasn't disappointed at all. Thanks for having me on.
Absolute pleasure.
I'll say it again. I really admire what you've done with Legend Fiction and what you're doing and how you've just kept going, man. And it just shows what happens when you just have that consistency. And now that you've got AI kind of helping with some of your systems and things like that, because we both know how much time those things can take,
Hmm.
um, I feel like you're just gonna keep going, man. So
Keep having fun, making friends, taking
absolutely,
names, losing teeth, all that good
yeah.
stuff. Keith, where can folk find you online if they're catching this replay and they want to go check out Prompted Hearts and your dictionary and the
Yeah.
other things you're working on?
So if you want to find my secret dictionary that I haven't put out yet, or any of my other books, you can find me at keithhayden.net. I'm there. I'm also on X. I'm on YouTube as well, even though I haven't put out a video in a couple of months. But yeah, if you're interested in anything that I've talked about or technology, sci-fi, whatever, take a look at my website. Love to have you over
Awesome.
at Hack
Keith, it
Studios.
was super cool to have you join us. Thanks again for coming on. I definitely want to have you back, and let's not take 9 months again.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
make it
not
sooner.
for sure.
Alrighty.
All right.
Cheers, brother. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Catch you
All
soon.
right. See you.
Friends, we are now at the top of our live stream hour, so I'm going to wrap it up. And if you haven't yet heard about this, we've actually got a creative writing school. So I'm going to share with you this little message, and then we will close out. Let me be real for a second. I have a very hard time keeping up with writing habits. I have lots of dreams and ideas, but then nothing happens. And if you're like me, a ton of dreams, right, and ideas, and then not turning it into novels, not publishing, not getting it done. Okay, so I built Legend Fiction to fix all of that. And I'll tell you what, it's working. Every other community that I've found, it's like one thing, right? It's a critique group, or it's got coaching, or it does the world building, and somebody's got a conference. And so we said, hey, we'll do all of that and more. So we added 30-day challenges to build a habit of writing. We created tournaments where you try to outright each other. We created short story collections with royalty shares for everyone who gets published. We host read alouds with a mentor. We're even building a shared fantasy world together. And then our convention, not a conference, it's a convention, because a convention is more fun. That's Legend Fiction. It's like a living, creative haven where faith inspired storytellers build worlds, finish their stories, and publish together. It's $10 a month. You can start a 30-day free trial. Come to legendfiction.com, and I'll see you on the inside.